There was an upset last night in Division One men's basketball that occurred in the Big 12, and you wouldn't believe where it occurred. And I apologize for looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff. Number 19, BYU lost to UCF in Provo, Utah, 97-84. Remember, BYU just beat number 6 Iowa State 79-69 last game. This is what I call a letdown spot when I see one. You know what's crazy is BYU never had a lead in this game. They were even down as many as 36 points. This obviously impacts the Big 12 standings. It's not even mentioning NCAA tournament seeding at a line. BYU drops down to 20-8 overall, 8-7 in the Big 12. And I get there's no Richie Saunders for them for the rest of the year, but yet you beat Iowa State and you lost to UCF. I would have thought it would have been flip flopped in terms of the losses. Loss to a win. I'm just being real. While UCF is 20-7 overall, 9-6 in the Big 12. And I think it's safe to say UCF should make the NCAAs now. For sure. Pending some bad losses in a row. Or maybe they can avoid a bad loss or two, but one bad loss, but maybe that's it. I don't know. You know what's crazy is at halftime, UCF was up 52-28. Clearly, BYU was not ready to go from the start because of the halftime score. BYU did score more in the second half. They doubled the point output from the first half into the second. 56. UCF did score 45. But there's obviously more to the game than that. That's why I'm going to go over the stats. No use going last minute of the game. Let's be real. BYU has defensive issues. They had them all year. Even if Richie Saunders was healthy, they had defensive issues. It's just telling the truth. BYU shot 41% from the field on 71 attempts. They made a third of their threes on 27 attempts. 85% on free throws on 20 attempts. The only 3 misses, that's pretty good. 34 rebounds. 12 of those offensive. 11 assists. 9 turnovers. 6 steals. 5 blocks. 14 fouls. How many points off the bench? 21. You get the point. Kostic had 14 points, while Tyler Imrus, I apologize for butchering that, had 7. 3 double-digit scores combined for. Obviously, AJ DeBonsa had a great game. He 29 points, and he made half his shots from the field on 22 attempts. 2 for 4 on threes and 5 for 6 on free throws. He did have a rebound, so a near double-double. Yes, Rob Wright III had 20 points, but was inefficient, to say the least. He made a third of his shots on 21 attempts. 1 for 6 on threes. 5 for 6 on free throws. He did have 7 assists, I know. But still, and honestly, 14 points from the guy I mentioned off the bench. So, that's 49 plus 14. That's 63 points right there. And 2 players scored 60 more points this game. And Kennard Davis had 8. And I mentioned Tyler Imrus with 7. So that's 15 points right there. And Kebakida is like 6 points, between 6 to 7 points per game. Even if he would have scored a little bit more, it would have not mattered. And same thing goes for Miholo is like between 3 and 4 points per game. He had 4. Now, UCF had how many bench points? George Beal Jr. had 10 points. Carmelo Pachotko had 6. Jeremy Foume and I'll just have Butcher that had 2, and Devin Cambridge had 2. So that's 4, 6, that's 10, plus 10, that's 20 points. And 4 double-digit scores that could buffer. In fact, UCF had 2 players that had 24 points. Demas Fulks with 24 points. And he did have 11 assists as well, so a double-double. And UCF did this without then leading scorer Riley Kugel due to an undisclosed injury. And they still beat BYU by double digits. Very impressive, to say the least. And Jordan Burks had 24 points, and he was very efficient. 9 for 12 from the field, 4 for 7 on threes, 2 for 4 on free throws. Jamarcus Stillwell had 12 points. He also had 12 rebounds. So another guy with a double-double right there. That's 48. That's 60 plus George Beal Jr. George Beal Jr. that's 10 points, so it's 70 right there. Yeah. And 3 players scored 61 points this game. I mean, John Bull had 8 points. Chris Johnson had 9 points. And Carmelo had 6. So that's 17 plus 6. That's 23 points right there. And simply put, UCF shot too good from the field and from the 3-point line. Free throws, not as good as BYU, but they had less attempts though. 56% from the field on 64 attempts. 58% on threes on 24 attempts. 79% on free throws on 14 attempts. That's only 3 misses, by the way. That's still pretty good. 40 rebounds. 8 of those offensive. 25 assists. 15 turnovers. 5 steals. 2 blocks. And 17 fouls. Now I'm going to go to the points on turnovers, points on the paint, and fast break points as well. Points on turnovers actually favored BYU in this game, 17-10. However, the next 2 categories favored UCF. I mean, fast break points 19-14, and points in the paint 44-34 in favor of UCF. Even if Richie Saunders was healthy for BYU, I didn't see Elite 8 for them personally because of the defensive issues. Obviously, without him, it's for sure Sweet 16 at the ceiling. Depending on the matchup in the Sweet 16, I just don't see it in Elite 8 for them. And I definitely didn't see a Final Four either for BYU when they were healthy. I just didn't. And this proves that sometimes Provo is not, doesn't fit, give problems to some teams out there. I mean, BYU lost to Houston at home. They even lost to Arizona at home. I'm just telling the truth. What's the remaining other games, though, for BYU? Well, you got to go on the road to West Virginia on February 28th. And West Virginia is coming off of a loss against Oklahoma State. Their NCAA tournament chances are cooked. Unless they were to beat you, of course. And even then, that would have to require so much more work for West Virginia to even think about the NCAAs. I mean, they would have to beat UCF again. I mean, they would have to beat UCF again, and they would have to beat Kansas State. I don't know if that would be enough for them to make the NCAAs, but at least make it closer to the bubble, and then win the tournament game of 2s. And yeah, literally West Virginia lost last night to Oklahoma State in Stillwater in overtime, 91-84. And that's an Oklahoma State team that has faded since the start of the Big 12. I'm just saying, beware of that game. And it's cross-country travel. Yet, UCF went cross-country, and they still beat you. And luckily for UCF, they were in Utah already. They played Utah at Utah and only won by 2 points on Saturday. So you get the point. Then, March 3rd, you got to go on the road to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's fighting for the NCAA tournament lives. They're making a push to find a way to make the NCAAs for the head coach, Wes Miller. I'm just telling the truth. Beware. And that's a Cincinnati team that beat Kansas in Lawrence by double digits. Don't overlook them. Then you got a tough game against Texas Tech Yes, it's in Provo, but it doesn't. Like I said, sometimes teams don't still go on the road to beat you at BYU. I'm just saying. And that's March 7th. Well, UCF, your next game is against Baylor at home. If you were to lose that game, that would be a letdown spot when I see one. Baylor did push Arizona last night. They were even up in that game. And yeah, it was a 7-point loss, but look before the foul game stuff. It was a very close game. And they're playing their best basketball right now. I know it's a little late for them to make a push for the NCAAs. Still though, can't sleep on them. Necessarily. Then you got Oklahoma State at home, which you're trying to look for revenge on March 3rd when you lost to Oklahoma State on the road by double digits in January. But Oklahoma State is not playing as good right now compared to back then. And then you got on the road to West Virginia, which I already mentioned, the West Virginia Spiel on March 6th. So yeah. Sometimes when you have a great shooting performance, the next game is not as good. So that could be a letdown. Potentially, but we have to wait and see for UCF going forward. And same thing goes for BYU going forward too. They have to fix their defense. If it doesn't get fixed, you might lose in the first round if you are not careful. I'm just making that a point right now, depending on the matchup. Because what if you're like a 5 seed? There's a classic 12 or 5 upset. So we'll have to wait and see what happens from here. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like, subscribe, and see you guys later on the road to 8 scores, ultimate goals, 1,000 more. So my mind to scores like video, come video really helps YouTube algorithm. Some more people see it, soon the video does help as well. Some more people can watch, and if you're watching and not subscribe, hit subscribe, and the notification bell as well.